after a long hiatus of, vacation and whatnot, you're now listening again to Breaking Down Security. And I am Brian Brake, of course. And with me, as always, is Ms. Berlin and Mr. Batra.
Hello.
Howdy.
And so I've been on vacation the last, week and a half almost. And
yeah, me too.
Well, yeah, you had a really awful. I wouldn't even
Let's
call
talk
it.
about your time. I'm sure you had a much better time than I did.
Well, yeah, I mean, we it was midwinter break for my daughter and at her school, so people from Seattle tend to go and visit the sun. So we went down to sunny Los Angeles, California. It was cold. More than sunny. Oh God, it was only a couple of, it was like in the mid 50s.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there was only a day or two where it got really nice, and I took shorts the whole freaking time.
Yeah.
It was okay. I could wear shorts, but yeah.
50s is short weather.
Yeah, as long as you're wearing a jacket, because it was 50s and like 20-mile-an-hour winds. So
yeah.
Or 10-kilometer winds. God, now I'm gonna have to go look that up. So it was fun. We did Universal Studios. We did Disneyland, of course. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Miss Berlin, you had a very interesting. 32 kilometers. I'm sorry, 32 kilometers is 20 miles an hour. 32.1869 according to Google. So I apologize to. I'm an American. That's my excuse.
I figure people at this point should just be able to, if you don't know what it is, do your own conversion.
I'm a U.S. American, and unfortunately, I don't convert kilometers very easily. So,
yeah.
You had a really awful week, Miss Berlin.
I was in the hospital several times.
Oh my gosh. Did you die?
No, not yet.
Okay, good.
I wanted to die.
Okay.
But I did not.
Well, I'm glad you're not dead.
I died a little hearing about it.
Oh God.
Yes.
I'm sitting there reading this on Twitter, and she's like, "Oh, kidney stone." I'm like, "No, I don't want kidney stones."
No, it's pretty bad.
So you're better now, though.
Don't recommend.
You don't recommend them. -1 star on Yelp for kidney stones.
Great.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I hope to never get them again, and I'm almost all better. I have like another 2 weeks of medicine to take. But
yeah, they gave you painkillers, or it's like anti-inflammatories, or what?
It's like
Is morphine pretty good?
Yeah, no, I didn't get any morphine. I did get a lot of other pain medication, but no, this is like, so like I don't get any infections or anything like that.
I'm sorry, we did actually, we probably did disclose HIPAA information. So, are you cool with that? We probably violated HIPAA.
Do I have to like sign a waiver or something?
Well, I mean, I'd have to sign something.
It's in your inbox.
It was pretty funny though. I tweeted out a picture. Was it the first time? It was the first time I went in because I hadn't taken my phone charger. I didn't know how long I was going to be in the ER.
Right.
I had driven myself, and because that's what you do is you drive yourself to the ER. And a guy that I used to know because I used to work at a hospital, and this was not the hospital I used to work at, but he must have changed or whatever. Let me borrow his iPhone cable, and there was only 2 places to plug it in. There was like a heart rate monitor thing that I wasn't hooked up to.
Oh God.
But I tried to plug into that first, and it didn't supply me any power, so I just plugged into the computer in the room.
I would hope that's so you could either plug it into the heart monitor or the EMR system the EMR computer. Right. Oh, and
it was hysterical. So he walks in because he knows like what I do.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh man, if our IT guy saw that, that'd freak."
Well, I'm actually kind of okay that the heart. I'm better off than knowing that the heart monitor didn't work. Because if you had been able to short out a heart monitor, or, charge with the heart monitor, that means it was on. But that's wow. So
if you drive yourself to the ER, do they have valet parking?
Oh,
these are things that these are questions I have.
Things that make you go,
they did not.
Oh, that sucks.
There was valet parking.
I mean, the the hospital
They
near my house, super tiny.
Yeah.
Like
So-
they have like 10 beds or something.
Right.
It's very, very small.
Oh.
No ballet.
Well, I'm glad you're doing better, and
Thanks. Me too.
I'm sorry that you and Mr. Batra weren't able to record anything last week.
I wasn't able to do anything. I couldn't put my children to bed or feed them or walk.
Now, if you would have thought about it, you could have got on Slack on your phone and we could have recorded from the hospital, right?
I could have.
Right.
Yeah, I could have.
Right.
That would have been interesting.
No, that's
Yeah.
fine. I'm glad you took the time to take care of you. So, we don't have insurance, so I don't know how this is going to work. I'm sorry. Our benefits here at BrakeSec World
right.
Headquarters is
My
pretty
normal
crap.
benefits suck anyways, so we'll see how that works.
Oh wow! So your employer doesn't listen
You
to
might
this,
see
right?
a GoFundMe soon.
Your employer doesn't listen to this, obviously. So,
They might. I'm not sure.
well, yeah. Okay.
They know they have crappy insurance.
Oh well, all right. That's good then. So, well, Mr. Batra, how you been this week? Any interesting malwares that we need to know about?
Oh, yeah, we've been getting the same stuff. Like the Imitet type Trojans, lots of attacks on email, trying to get your email accounts.
Right.
So we call them cred stealers.
Right.
They want designed to steal your credentials and then spread that way. And then I think they probably take those once they get them. They'll have 30 people in the organization. If they maintain that persistence, they'll probably sell that to someone who's looking to infiltrate a specific company.
Right. Right.
Oh.
So
That's probably what they do. There are attacks that are targeted to a specific company. They'll tailor make the entire thing, start to finish, to that target.
right.
Right. So that's how that works. They'll gain a bunch of email addresses, target that particular company, and try to get in that way. And it's for that company. There's all the signs. It's tailor made. They'll even have documentation or news articles on that company as well. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
You said it was boring.
If you're not seeing it, I would be surprised if you work in a large company.
You said it was boring. Is that because you've seen all of it before? Or does it get boring after a while when you're trying to hunt malware in your company and it's all the same stuff that you've already defended against?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, yeah, there's a level of accomplishment because you say, well, okay, I've thwarted this one, I've thwarted that one, and taken care of that one. Oh, that's old. I've seen that before. But yeah, you keep looking for the next big thing. Right. That's how it was when I first joined, and we were seeing new stuff all the time, and now it's kind of tapered off. So they do have analytics on your company, and if they're able to, if you are able to defend those attacks, they'll escalate their attacks to a point, and then they may just give up, or they may target your company specifically with these tailor-made emails and things. So yeah, it's definitely a progression. They're not going to send you their good stuff right away if you're going to fall for the crappy stuff.
Right.
So you're going to get the crappy stuff until you prove to them, and they're pretty organized, that you can handle it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's awesome. I mean, that you have pretty much worked yourself out of a job in many cases, right?
Well, I guess that's what we all have to do, right? We have to basically put our past self out of a job and keep progressing, advancing, and making ourselves better so that we can do the cool stuff, the cooler stuff, the more advanced things in the future.
Right. Okay. Well,
You don't always be stuck doing the boring stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It seems like after you've hunted down all the things and everything just ends up becoming a variant of something in the future, that it starts getting boring because there's nothing else to detect. I mean, until something like Emotet is like old hat, because what was it, like 8 months ago we were talking about Angler, Mr. Batra, and then all of a sudden it died.
Right.
And then, now we're doing Emotet and whatever variants of it is. And then all of a sudden it'll go away and something else will come back. So it's cyclical, almost like a weather forecast, cloudy with a chance of Emotet with some, angler next week or Pharaoh or whatever the hell we're going to call it next, So, all right.
Yeah, it's this game of cat and mouse.
Yeah.
Right?
And
sometimes the mouse gets the cheese and sometimes the cat gets the mouse.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, we do have a topic this week. I had a news article I was reading up about, and it was kind of an ongoing thing to our last show that we did, about supply chain security and how, software that you use could cause issues if you are not, maintaining it or watching out for, it being handed off to a new developer or what have you. There was a news article about NPM, which for those of you who are not familiar with what NPM is, it is a package manager for JavaScript. It's called the Node Package Manager. It's allows you. It's a framework that allows you to add packages to your web applications using JavaScript. Use it quite a bit for, when I was installing things like TiddlyWiki or whatever, wiki systems, you could install packages that would, make your TiddlyWiki more extensible using NPM. And apparently they had an update, and it was supposed to be an update to fix something else from what I gathered. I could be wrong on that, but it was a pre-production version of that, and they were apparently installing this pre-production version on a lot of production systems, changed permissions on certain directories. Nothing major, just etc user and boot. Which it's not a big deal.
No?
No.
And why did they say why they were installing it on production when it was pre-production code?
I believe that there was some additional issues. I'm trying to pull up the Tech Republic article to see if there was a big whole. I actually saw it on Twitter, and then there was a whole other big thing. Traversing and running chown on wrong, often critical file. So yeah, it was a bug 19883 was introduced in the build 570 release, and that it was a pre-release version when people ran this, and it was supposed to fix. So let me read this here. So running sudo npm will result in file permissions being reset across the system, breaking the operation of npm and practically everything else that requires file permissions to work. This is not where the problems start or end. However, this bug was introduced in the 5.7 release, which, based on the blog post, seems to be a normal release. If you run npm update, it will install a 5.7.0. There's no indication at all, not in the version string or not in the release announcement. This is a pre-release version of npm. As it happens, a separate bug, 19888, causes pre-release versions to be installed when npm update is run. While the permissions bug had been patched in 5.7.1, you could update it to run using npm update, but it also incorrectly lacks tags that wasn't ready for production. So there was a lot of issues apparently with this, and people had issues. So instead of pulling the 5.7.1 issue, a lot of people pulled the 5.7.0, and it borked their systems. They had to reinstall their OSs from scratch.
Yeah, you change boot and etc.
Yeah,
you're hosed.
Yeah.
Well, you would think that they would be able to at least use whatever shells they had available to escalate up to root and perhaps fix it. I don't know what it choned them to.
Well, they don't. It'd be hard to know what exactly happened.
Yeah, but I mean,
that didn't sound like fun though.
Yeah, and it's rough because there's no trust there. It shouldn't have that. There shouldn't be a bug where you run npm update and it'll automatically, update to whatever the latest version is. There should be a stable version that it says, okay, we're not going to update past 5.6.9 because, of reasons or what have you. But yeah, that.
I thought that's the way it did work. You basically set, okay, I want stable or I want the latest and greatest, which would get you hosed in this case. But
yeah. I'm not sure why they said it's been fixed, but the entire messy process revealed more fundamental problems. That's from ZDNet. So yeah.
Well, that's a huge mistake. You have a version that hoses your system and then you push it out for release, no matter what kind of release.
Yeah, there's no trust there. I mean, you would think there'd be some kind of way for them to go, okay, what kind of changes is it going to make to the system? Hopefully people who are running these updates are taking snapshots if they're using this in a virtualized environment. If they were just using it in a virtualized environment, they would have fixed it by, reverting the snapshot. Anybody with, hard iron, they're pretty much screwed, I think, in that case. So, I think that would behoove people as part of their update process to have a backup procedure of, well, if this doesn't work, we're going to revert to snapshot. Unless you're on hard iron or something, but
and I'll take reasons why I'm not a sysadmin anymore for 100.
No, that makes complete sense. I'm fastidious about my snapshots though. Anytime I do any kind of major update or anytime I run package add, I always have at least 2 or 3 2 or 3 snapshots in case something like that does happen, because invariably it does for me. I'm not very good.
You only have to get burnt. Well, sometimes twice or 3 times.
Yeah.
Depending on.
Yeah. So, ZDNet asks the question that I did. What are you doing running brand new code on production system? This is sysadmin 101. You don't run fresh release of any program on a working system. Capiche?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this is the DevOps thing, isn't it? We fail forward. We don't test new things. We just assume it's going to work. It's worked 150,000 times before. Why should we worry about it now? Unfortunately, people who rely on things like NPM, it's never going to, they've learned a valuable lesson, I hope. But I mean, I don't know, other than having a UAT, not UAT, but a regular testing system, how that would fix them. I mean, even if you were something as simple as a snapshot on a VM would have, allowed them to fix that issue. So maybe that's a process issue on their part too. So.
Yeah. Wow. According to Nixcraft, it chones / so basically everything.
Yeah. So bad coding practice too there. Apparently that bug was introduced by somebody who was writing code. So. Yeah.
I mean, wow. Sysadmin, if you're going to update anything, it has to be on a test system that you could easily revert.
Yeah.
I would have to think nowadays.
Well, I'm just wondering.
I remember us getting things like Heartbleed back at the place, and everybody would say, "Oh my God, we got to patch this now." And I would call my the sysadmin that night because the thing would break at 5 o'clock or 8 p.m. or whatever time.
Yep.
And I'd say, look, here's the patch, test this, and I'll talk to you in the morning.
Yep. So
he would test that evening. And then in the morning, we would have a plan all ready to go, right? Because he would have already tested it on a couple of different systems and then say, okay, the patch looks good from my perspective. Let's test it on whatever systems tonight. Right. And then get the rest of them the following day. So it would take 2 days, but at least he tested it that evening. He was ready to go in the morning to come up with a plan for that evening.
Yeah. Yeah. My other question is why were they running it? It was sudo npm, so you were basically running it with elevated permissions. Why are you running NPM and needing to run NPM as anything other than a regular user? It seems like they could run it as a regular user, not running, with, extra, permissions or whatever. There are numerous ways, multiple ways of running NPM as a regular user without having to do sudo npm. So, I mean, that might be something else you'd want to look at in the future as well. We have links in the show notes to the discussions on running NPM not as a sudo, or not without having to run sudo. I tend to run those things, even like applications that I install. They don't necessarily need to run as root. So I've installed Metasploit, run as a regular user. Pretty much everything that I'm using for pen test framework, I run as myself. I don't run as a root. So it seems to me that there's some coding issues with NPM over there with the developers over there. Shots fired. I know. Developers. I know. I'm gonna make some enemies.
It is a package manager, apparently.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But
maybe it has to have root. Not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. But there should have been some kind of audit done, and running NPM update shouldn't automatically pull whatever the latest nightly build is or whatever pre-production not ready for prime time stuff is. So there was a lot of things going on there. If it broke your systems, I'm sorry, but you guys should have probably done some testing before you pushed it onto your production systems. So yeah, but all right. Well, I look forward to your hate mail, so please feel free to send that along. I will own my comments because...
At Brian Brake on Twitter.
Yeah, at Brian Brake on Twitter. That's right. Yeah. So, one thing I learned this week, I was listening to another podcast, Risky Business. We were talking about the along the lines of, being able to trust your software that you're using in your environment. I found that WordPress doesn't appear to have public file hashes. So how do you trust the downloads of your WordPress? How can you verify the integrity and that everything is proper? I don't think you
don't use it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know that there's a...
Well, because there's so many other fun options that your sales and marketing people can use, right?
Right. That are all equally as horrible.
Yeah, they're all... Yeah.
So to give myself a little bit of... how do I put this? Support in the decision to double click an executable file. Mm-hmm. I upload it to VirusTotal and just check it out.
Really?
Right. If it's a month old and has 0 hits, chances are somebody would have found it to be malicious by then. Right. Now, if it's just created that day, you might want to hold off a few days or weigh the risks. Okay. Cause it's got 60 some odd virus engines that evaluate that binary to see if it's malicious or not. And if none of them pick it up, that tells you something. If one or more says that it's malicious, maybe you should wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing Mr. Batra tell people is don't patch. So, yeah, don't patch. No, because usually when WordPress comes out with something, it's fairly, like you need to fix your stuff immediately because it's going to affect anything, internet facing. So, I just wish that there was a way for us to verify that it came from them. I mean, people say, "Oh yeah, you're using TLS to connect to their website," but that doesn't do integrity. All it does is make sure that the telephone call, if you will, or the connection from you to them is as secure as it can be, but it doesn't verify the contents of the files on the system. So.
Yeah, and can you really trust them that they weren't hacked either?
That's my point.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Post their stuff there. So, anything I install, I upload it to VirusTotal anyway, just to give me a little more information.
Right.
Because it gives you when the file was created, whether it's signed, all kinds of things. You could also do a SIG check on it to see if it's signed by the company and it has a valid certificate. And then VirusTotal will tell you if any of those virus engines think that it's malicious.
Well, what if the code isn't signed?
If it's a reputable piece of code or supposed to be from a reputable company, it should be signed.
Does WordPress sign their code?
Then that's another indicator, right?
Yeah. I don't think WordPress actually does code signing. That was
And
the
if
other
they
thing.
don't, that's fine. At least you know that.
Right.
But if, yeah.
So you
It all
wouldn't want to trust a signed one from them.
Oh, right. Right. I mean, I would hope that they would announce that, but from what I've read and heard about in their Slack, the idea of doing code signing or, doing, that kind of thing is fairly contentious in that community, which I'm like, why wouldn't you want to have that additional security? Have 2 or 3 people who can, bless that bill and go, yes, we are, this is a good build, go with the dev gods and use, but it appears that they're not code signing. I do have some links on how to do that in our show notes. Best practices for code signing from Thought. Apparently, not only can you get TLS and SSL certs, you can also get code signing certs, and they're different than like SSL certs. So
they are. I've had to deal with code signing certs only once, but it was definitely different than, because I used to do a whole bunch of webmaster stuff, so it was definitely different than having to deal with just regular SSL.
Well, okay, so what is it? Is it like it adds a non-repudiation factor, like a PGP key?
I don't know enough about it to talk about it.
So you did it right, or you were doing code?
I think I did it right. It was a while ago. I just know It was a lot more in-depth than just installing a regular SSL key.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I mean,
there was more you had to go through to process it too. Like you actually had to, like, to buy an SSL cert, you can just say you're this company, and they don't care.
Right. Right.
So yeah, if you download a copy of LogMD and you right-click it, hit Properties, you'll see the Digital Signatures tab.
Yeah.
Oh, so you've signed your code.
Uh-huh.
How did you do that?
I set it up in Visual Studio to sign it. So you have to pay for the digital signature.
Right.
So somebody, some other third party will vet you, right?
And make sure you're that company.
Yes.
Okay, so this is about as effective as TLS and SSL. You could get a code signing cert from anybody.
Yeah, but you have to prove you're that company, where with SSL, you don't really have to prove you're the company that you bought the SSL cert.
Okay.
I mean, you have to own the domain, but
right.
They don't like prove you're XYZ company when you buy this SSL cert, but with the code signing one you did.
How did you do that, Mr. Batra? Did you send them some letterhead, or did you say, hey, I'm kind of a big deal, here's my podcast that I'm on, or something?
Yes.
Really?
So, yes, you can buy it from, well, we got ours from DigiCert.
Okay.
Because they're pretty reputable.
Right.
So, yep. So we proved who we were, that we actually owned a company, yada, yada, yada. And they sent us a certificate.
Okay. Very nice. How is it good for a certain amount of time? Is it like a TLS cert, or is it like in perpetuity?
Yes, it's good for a certain amount of time. Now, if you've got one that is expired, just make sure that the code was created before the signature expired. So it's okay to use code that has an expired certificate as long as the code was compiled before the certificate expired, right?
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, yeah, you don't want to...
It was valid at the time that it was compiled.
Right, right. Okay. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I had no idea, so I was doing some research on that last night and today, trying to find out. So, how many people have a code signing cert for you guys? Is it in the workflow, or who has access to it? Is it just you, or is it you and Mr. Goff? Who has access to all that?
You mean who has access to the cert itself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, who can sign code?
I do, since I can compile it.
Oh, because you're the head developer?
Yes.
You're the only developer. Yeah.
Me and my team.
Right. Okay. All right. And is that a best practice, or is there a better way of doing it, and you guys are just doing it that way because you're a startup?
I don't know. I've never been a developer in an enterprise. I don't know. what the best practice is. But yeah, you do install the certificate on your machine, and then you have to run some commands when you compile to use that certificate.
Okay. So you sign it, you sign the code with that after you've compiled the executable, presumably.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
It's I've got it automated to where it'll compile, then sign it, and then write it.
Okay. Very nice. I would be interested in finding out how other people are doing it, because it seems like with large development groups, you might have more than one key. Ooh, sorry. Or you might have only certain developers can, bless it. Like in change management purposes, it would only be signed after, testing was done and release was done. So when you make release or whatever, then it would automatically sign the code. But if you're in testing, it wouldn't necessarily sign the code every time, right?
Right. It depends on the process. Now it's nothing to sign the code, right? Even if it's test.
Yeah.
So it depends on the process.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't add any overhead or any down,
No.
It doesn't take any longer to do.
No, not really.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was, you don't want signed versions of your code just sitting somewhere on somebody's box, right? Because, if somebody owned your box and they had a build of your code from 2 weeks ago and it just happened to be a test build, do you want the possibility of the sign? Does it keep a copy of the certificate inside the code that could be extracted?
No.
Okay, so it just puts a hash in there or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It will basically it'll tell you, hey, this is a valid certificate or whatever used to sign this code.
Okay.
But the certificate itself would be on the machine that did the compiling, like the private key.
Yeah. So this harkens back to like certificate signing stuff that I did when I was with a government contractor. But the problem was the box that had the cert that signed everything was isolated from the network. You couldn't do anything on it other than log in, no internet connectivity. So it sounds like you're doing it very startup-y, and you should have a separate box for that code signing cert, sir.
Well, who said I didn't?
Oh. I just assumed. I just assumed. I apologize. Okay.
Hey, no problem. No, as long as you have for example, if you do it in Visual Studio, you would need a Windows machine to put the certificate into. Like you actually install the certificate into the operating system.
Oh, so it's in the keychain somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a keychain on Windows, but in Apple it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something different.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, so it's somewhat like all those other ones like PGP and or it's kind of a cross between a PGP and a TLS cert. So it verifies that you were the only person who signed it. If Goff started doing development or code or anything, he could get himself his own cert, and it would say it was signed by, this was verified or released by Michael Goff, right? Does it have your name on your cert?
No, it has a company name.
Oh, just said, company name. Okay. Okay. Yep. Well, I guess that makes sense. Microsoft and all the other big ones probably have a generic type of signing cert.
Yeah, I wonder how they do that.
They got to have more than one. Backups,
I have absolutely no idea. That'd be cool to have somebody on that actually has run.
Yeah, a real company that actually does real development and stuff.
No, somebody that has spun up and has controlled all of the certificate services and all that kind of stuff. Because to spin up your own CA.
Right.
If you do that internally, if you want to use certificates to send on the Wi-Fi or to log in or whatever,
No, that's true. I mean, Microsoft and Google, and I'm sure they're their own CAs. They sign their own stuff.
Right.
They're a trusted certificate authority of their own, which is
Because that stuff can get really complicated.
It's a bit redundant, isn't it? I trust my own code because I wrote it at my company. So, where's the third party there, So, I mean, because that's the whole point of the code signing cert. It's supposed to be an independent third party, but, but...
What happens when you're that third party?
Yeah, exactly. So,
it's just a different department.
Oh, really?
You've got your development department and your code signing department.
Right, and so
they're big enough to do that, I'm sure.
So
Probably.
the code signing department sitting right next to the code developing department at your desk
Probably.
there?
No, but they just report to them.
Oh, right. Very nice. Very nice. Mr. Batra, I want to hold on the decision-making stuff. I think we've got enough here that we talked about. I don't think we should go any further. I think we're doing fairly well on our time.
You said you made a decision on the decision making, huh?
I did.
No.
I did. Yeah. So we had something else that we wanted to talk about as well, but I think because of time constraints, we're going to stop here. And we have a few announcements that we want to talk about, but thankfully we have too much stuff, so we've got shows that we can build upon in the future.
Okay, but we're jumping into this first thing next time.
Yes, sir. Jawohl.
Wait a minute, I thought my thing was next.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ms. Berlin's thing at the very
You're
bottom.
making promises.
Ms.
You're
Berlin's
just like a typical parent making promises you can't keep.
Sorry, Dad. Sorry. So, okay. So the one last thing we got to talk about, the BSide Nashville, David Seibuck, one of the moderators on our Slack channel, phenomenal person, good dude, had the idea of starting the resume review and the career advice channels on our Slack channel. He approached the BSide Nashville folks and said, "Hey, I'd like to do a resume and interview workshop akin to what happened at DerbyCon last year with Miss Bats and Miss Hacks for Pancakes on Twitter." That's their handles. I don't know them by anything else. So I know them by Miss Hacks and Miss Hacks for Pancakes, or Miss Bat and Miss Hacks for Pancakes. So,
it's good OPSEC.
It's good OPSEC, yeah. So, I know he did say that the BSide Nashville is sold out and they have a wait list, but if you happen to get a ticket and you need to, or you would like to do a resume review or a mock interview, that is available at BSide Nashville. You can also reach out to Dave Seibuck at DP Seibuck on Twitter if you want to, talk to him about anything, or you can come on our Slack and do a resume review as well. We have some people, they just throw the resumes out there and they go, "Here, show me what it is, show me how I suck and how I can improve it." We actually had a couple in the last few days. They put it up on Google and said, "Hey, put some comments out there." So if you're at BSide Nashville, go and sign up for that and take a look at your take a look at your resume, have them take a look at that and, see what you can do to improve your possibility of employment. So, yeah.
I will be there with all of my children.
Shut up. You're going to be in BSide Nashville.
Yep.
Did you get a ticket?
I got 4 tickets.
Wow. And I asked him the other day and he's like, "Yeah, they're waitlisted." So, I mean, that's impressive. That's impressive. Yeah. So
it's like an 8-hour drive, but I really, really do. It's a very, very good B-sides.
Okay, very cool. And when is that? When is that?
April. It's usually in April.
Okay. Well, here's what you should do since you don't have to drive 8 hours. Get your kid, your boy, who's 16, get his permit, and he can
drive the 8 hours.
He could help you drive the 8 hours. He doesn't have to drive all of it.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
You're going to be in the passenger seat. That's how permit works, right?
I know.
Well, you can, even if you're awake and you're just sitting in the passenger seat watching, it is more restful than actually driving.
Right. Yeah, even though you're white.
I've done it. We've driven cross country, Montana, California, Tennessee. We've driven all over the place.
Well, yeah, between you and the Mrs. Betcher and your oldest, right?
Yeah, well, only on the last trip, the oldest was able to drive a little.
Right. That really helps when you have 3 people who can drive, so you just trade off every 4 to 6 hours and you're good to go.
Yep.
So, yeah. So hit up BSide's Nashville. It's in April. Also BSide Springfield, Missouri, which is near and dear to my heart because it's my hometown, one of my hometowns.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in July 14th. I'm gonna maybe buy tickets and go to that. Their CFP is actually going on right now until the 1st of April. So actually, it's April 1st is when it ends. So if you're interested in finding out about that and submitting for BSide Springfield, Missouri, you can go to their website and find it. Just look for BSide Springfield, Missouri. So
I'll also be at BSide's Indy in Indianapolis on the 9th and 10th. So in 2 weeks.
Cool. All right. Well, maybe we'll get some audio from that. No pressure. I'm just saying, if you can get some, that'll be cool.
Man, the last couple times I've tried to get audio, it's gone terribly wrong.
Well, I know you had food poisoning at that one joint, and then, I didn't get anything at B-Side Seattle. I was supposed to, but I didn't feel like I should do that, so... But, yeah. All right. Well, Mr. Betcher, I apologize for not getting to your thing. We will get to it in a couple of weeks. Miss Berlin, has got her thing next.
We can do his next. I was just...
No. Anyway, so Mr. Betcher, other than being a developer who signs code, maybe you could tell people how they can get a hold of you and talk about various code signing things.
Yeah. Well, you can visit our website. It's log-md.com. Or hit me up on Twitter at Betcherpwned, BOETTCHERPWNED.
Very cool.
You want to talk about anything?
All right. Ms. Berlin, how about you?
Slide into the DMs.
Wow. That's what all the hip cats are saying these days.
On Slack or Twitter at InfoSister, INFOSYSYSTIR.
Very cool. So BrakeSec, you can find us at BrakeSec on Twitter, BRAKESEC. At Brian Brake on Twitter. You can find me there.
That's where the hate mail goes.
That's where the hate mail goes. Yeah. Actually, the DMs are only open on the BrakeSec because we're doing invite only to our Slack because we're trying to cut down on the possibility of bots. So I apologize to the handful of people who did not reply back to my DMs because you have no followers, no tweets, and your tweets are locked. So that screams I'm a bot to me. Sadly, yeah. I'm sorry. So, especially when your English is not your first language, and I apologize for that, but I need to be able to have some tete-a-tete back and forth with you to say, hi, how are you? What's your interest? Here's your thing. Here's my thing, talking about stuff. So,
yep.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a handful of people that I have not given the Twitter invite to because they don't reply back to tweets. So, we are very active on our Slack. We've got a lot of people on there, a lot of good information, a lot of good discussion. Miss Berlin's class is in its third week. We had to postpone
We'll start
it
again.
Well, because there was a holiday Monday and you were in the hospital, so we're not, that was a thing, and we told people in enough time. So session 3 of 4 will be this Monday, actually tomorrow, the 26th. Look forward to that. It's a really great class. A lot of people are attending. There's still time. I know it's like last minute, but I have a SANS 504 course in the Seattle area if you want to join it. March 1st is when the first class starts. Technically, you can sign up for that. So if that's something you want to take a 504 course with yours truly, I don't know why you would, but I've managed.
I totally would if I lived over there.
Would you?
I would.
Just a heckle?
If I didn't have to pay for it.
Oh, well, that's, yeah. Yeah, that's the downside, isn't it? Having to pay for it. But yeah, you can go to the link in the show notes to the class for that. You will have to pay nearly the full amount unless you can find 3 other friends, and then you can get about a 20% discount with the buy 2 get 1 free offer that they have. So, we will be at up at the Microsoft campus up in Redmond, so it's going to be fairly swanky Red West building that we're going to be doing a class in for the next 7 weeks. So I'm looking forward to that. So we're on TuneIn Radio, Google Play Store, iTunes. Please leave feedback if you'd like. We appreciate that. Thank you to our Patreon donators. That helps us offset the cost of hosting costs and SoundCloud and the other things where we try to put the podcast. So, and also equipment stuff. The Patreon people were directly responsible for upgrading our audio this year. So that was fantastic. So, all right. Well, that was it. I'm good for this week. We are, the Breaking Down Security podcast here. So have a great week. Be nice to one another, and we will talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.